Thanks to science, throughout history ingenious inventions have been created through trial and error. However, sometimes some of these inventions were created by accident. And in this video we will mention some examples. Bubble wrap. In 1957, engineers Alfred Fielding and Mark Chauvin invented bubble wrap as a new type of textured wallpaper. But as expected, this new plastic wallpaper was not a success and did not sell well. But fortunately the engineers didn't give up. Eventually they changed tactics and marketed it as greenhouse insulation. But that idea also failed. It wasn't until almost 3 years after its invention that bubble wrap had its first breakthrough, and a better use was finally discovered. In 1959, when IBM announced its new computer, a marketer for the company realized how bubble wrap could protect these fragile machines during shipping. The company pitched and demonstrated its idea to IBM, and soon IBM was using bubble wrap for its computers and accessories. And from there, bubble wrap became very popular. Safety glass. Laminated glass can be found in automobile windshields, railings, floors, stairs, in bank tellers, and in a variety of other places where safety and security is needed. Was invented in 1903 by the Frenchman Edouard Benedictus. He was working in his laboratory when he accidentally knocked a glass jar off his desk. However, the glass had not broken completely. Instead, the glass was only cracked, but still retained its shape. After doing some research on this curious phenomenon, Benedictus discovered that the jar had at some point contained cellulose nitrate, which prevented the glass from breaking in the usual way. Benedictus then realized that this new material could greatly increase vehicle safety, since most automobile accidents resulted in the driver being injured by broken glass. Thus safety glass was developed, and since then, it has been used in hundreds of different ways. Fireworks. This is undoubtedly one of the oldest accidental discoveries in existence. Occurred in a kitchen in China, about 2,000 years ago. A cook mixed charcoal, potassium nitrile and sulfur over a hot fire, and the result was colored flames. The cook also noticed that if the mixture burned when enclosed in the hollow of a bamboo shoot, a tremendous explosion occurred. After this, fireworks were used for entertainment and became a basic part of the commemoration of special occasions, such as births, deaths, weddings, coronations, or New Year. Matches. In 1826, the English chemist John Walker was working on an experimental paste that could be used in weapons. But noticed that the stick he was using was covered with a chemical substance. So without thinking he scraped off this substance, and it suddenly ignited into a controllable fire. Walker knew instantly that he had discovered something revolutionary. He sold the first matches at a local bookstore, called them friction lights, and they came neatly packed in a box with a piece of sandpaper. Chocolate chip cookie. In the 1930s, Ruth Wakefield was trying to make chocolate cookies, but she ran out of cookie chocolate. So as a substitute, she took a Nestle chocolate bar and broke it into pieces, hoping the melted chocolate would mix into the dough. To his surprise, the result was the chocolate chip cookie we know today. He then sold the recipe to Nestle for $1 and a lifetime supply of chocolate. Yogurt. It is surprising to think that fireworks were created 2,000 years ago. However, traces of yogurt have been found in the Neolithic period, from between 10,000 and 5,000 years before the Common Era. When ancient nomadic tribes roamed the land, nomads transported their milk in animal skins to preserve it while traveling. And to the surprise of the people, some of the milk stored in these skins became thick, sour, and still edible. This happened because the yogurt had good bacteria, which flourished when the milk interacted with the animal's stomach pouches. This made the curdled liquid a hostile environment for the bad bacteria, allowing the good bacteria to thrive and cause fermentation in a conducive environment, even after a surprisingly long period of time in the hot sun. In all likelihood, yogurt was discovered in this way in different places, and at different times, and probably originated in the Middle East and Central Asia. Tea bags. As the story goes, the tea bag was accidentally invented by Thomas Sullivan in 1908. He was working as a tea importer in New York, and as a way of encouraging sales he began sending out small silk bags, which contained samples of the tea he was selling to his customers. However, some of the people to whom he sent the tea bags mistakenly placed the silk bags directly into a teapot instead of emptying the contents. This allowed one person to make a single cup of tea, rather than a whole pot. The small marketing campaign worked and orders started coming in, and eventually the tea bag was born. Ice cream cones. In 1904, Hamwi, a Syrian immigrant, was selling a crisp waffle-like cake at the St. Louis World's Fair. He was selling his cakes next to a man selling ice cream, and due to the popularity of the ice cream, the vendor ran out of dishes. Hamwi came up with an easy solution to the ice cream vendor's problem, so he quickly rolled one of his waffles into the shape of a cone and gave it to the ice cream vendor. The vendor put ice cream on the cone and the result was a success. Customers were happy and over time it became popular. Potato chips. In the summer of 1853, George Crumb was a chef working in New York and accidentally invented potato chips. The potatoes were very popular in the restaurant during that time, and one day a very picky customer complained that the potatoes were too thick. So he demanded that Crumb cut them even thinner. Although Crumb made a thinner batch, the customer was still dissatisfied. So Crumb made potatoes so thin you couldn't even eat them with a fork, fried them to a crisp and seasoned them generously with salt. He was hoping to annoy the extremely picky customer. But surprisingly, the customer loved them. Other customers started asking about these potatoes. That's when the potato chip was born and Crumb added them to the menu as a new specialty called Saratoga chips. Microwave oven. In 1945, Percy Spencer was working for a company called Raytheon, developing microwave radar transmitters during World War II. Spencer loved nature, especially squirrels, so he always carried a peanut bar in his pocket to break and feed them during lunch. But one day at work, he noticed that the peanut bar in his pocket was starting to melt. Understandably curious about what had happened, Spencer did another test with the magnetron. This time he put an egg under the tube and moments later it exploded, covering his egg face. And then he realized that radar microwaves could cook food. He created the first working microwave oven and the first food he cooked in it was popcorn, which he shared with the entire office.